What's up, you guys? Welcome to this episode of Crystal Clear. I have a returning guest, Miss Lisa Klein from Lisa Klein Counseling. And we had so much fun the last episode. We just had to spark it back while like the iron was hot. So welcome back, Lisa.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
I feel like we had like 3 pages of things we wanted to talk about last time.
We did.
And we just barely skimmed the surface, but the response from that conversation has been incredible. It has been incredible.
Yeah.
And people are loving it on all the social platforms. I've gotten a lot of great feedback. You've gotten feedback.
I've gotten a lot of feedback. It's resonating with a lot of people.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So in that one, if you, it's more of like coming to your true self, like understanding what that is. So today we're going to elaborate on that a little bit more. So if you haven't listened to that one yet, recommend listening to it at some point. But we're going to pretty much cover all of that and more today. Yeah. So one thing we really wanted to get to last time that I think is so important is
performance healing.
Performance healing. And what do we mean by that?
Well, in today's culture, a lot of us are on social media, right? We're talking about that before. And we can feel inclined to share our personal stories sometimes before we're ready to.
Right.
For a variety of reasons.
Mm-hmm.
But sharing our healing journeys before we're ready or for validation.
I've done it myself as well. Like, okay, that probably should have gone in my journal. After putting it out. Okay, I put it out there. Those were my feels. I was in my moment with that. And there's nothing wrong with expressing. Let's just clarify that. Like, I think the more that you process your journey and the more you process along the way, the more healing it is. However, when you're putting something out there for other people to, let's just jump right in, judge, critique, assess, you're exposing a level of vulnerability that you may not be ready to receive the feedback. And there's just coming from my more spiritual, energetic side, you're putting a piece of yourself out there. So it's got a lot more attention. It has a lot more influence than you may realize on your internal state after that happens.
100% it does. But a lot of times, even if you think you're totally being authentic, right? When you go on, you might go on live and be totally unedited. Ooh. But when you're sharing something about your healing journey or whatever you're going through,
even it doesn't have to be healing. It could be your divorce. I've seen a lot of that. I've seen a lot
or
of
post-breakup.
Yeah, right? Post-breakup, political stuff.
Yeah, things with your kids.
Yeah.
It's curated.
Right.
So a lot of times when people are sharing about those things, not always, but they're seeking connection, right? They want to not feel alone, but also sometimes it's in a way that is palatable to people, right? So they don't show maybe the ugly side of what that might look like.
Or maybe they are showing the ugly side and not the beautiful side, you know? So, and that goes both ways.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But sometimes it can lead to people feeling after they share, right? Like some regret. And a lot of times in those cases, I feel like, especially when I think of performance, it's like, I've gotten over this, or I'm in this healed space, and like, let me share with you, which is great. You go in ebbs and flows. But sometimes it's harder to ask for help and what you need when you get to that point, because you're like, I projected this. I'm healed state, and things are.
Bless you if you feel like you're completely healed.
I know.
Love that for you. However, I would recommend just staying open, open to the ebbs and flows. And it's funny, my life coach and I talk about this. We joke about it at this point, because I like get to a point where like, oh my gosh, everything's going so great. I don't even think I could be triggered right now. 30 minutes later, I'm like, fuck that. I got to tell you what just happened.
Yeah.
Because you never know. And so now it's kind of like just a rolling joke.
Yeah.
Not to be like, oh, everything's, too good to be true.
Yeah.
None of that. But just,
But that's like 100% the reality, though.
Right.
Like there is
life.
no 100% healed. Suffering is part of the human condition. Like the healthiest people I know are triggered. It's what they do after they're triggered that is different than somebody who might be unhealthy.
Right. And it's really goes down to when you're feeling that turbulence building inside of you, taking a moment, encouraging yourself to pause and coming out of that wanting to react, wanting to rebuttal, wanting to defend, just take, this is my personal approach anyway. If I'm feeling some turbulence bubbling, take a pause, going inward. Like, okay, I'm realizing now that I am feeling some kind of way about whatever's happening right now. But where is it coming from? Is it in this moment? Is it something that happened to me that I've been holding on to and not letting go of and shedding the layers from? Is it like a serious trigger, some trauma trigger from like childhood? Is it, there's several layers to this. To not discount the fact that I'm feeling my feelings, but taking a moment to understand where it may be coming from. And it's likely has nothing to do with the person or the situation that's even there. Like, yes, that happened in that moment. So we're unaware of my inner, it's like, it goes back to that saying, like, when in doubt, just be kind. We're all going through something that we know nothing about. Like every human on this planet has experienced things that, they may not even be aware of, much less us. So just try to be kind and compassionate, especially to yourself in those moments, because I feel like that's when the magic can really happen and we can show ourselves that compassion. But when you get, going back to kind of what we started off as, when you've entered the online realm of this and you've exposed yourself in some sort of way, whether it's a positive, something you're judging as positive in your life, something you're judging as negative, something, an intense emotion, whatever. And someone has something to say about it, or someone reaches out to you and they're like, oh, well, what happened? Or what, it can be overwhelming and it can be like, wow, everyone's going to have a different perspective of it. And no one's going to have the same perspective as you. So, it's interesting because I'm sure we've all, if you're out there and you've done some sort of thing, whether it's posting your kid's good report card, or it's posting, someone extreme, like going through something else. It just feel like it leads us down that path of putting it out there for people to judge.
It does. It can become a spectacle for conversation. And also it's a balance, right? Because I think that I am very cautious about what I post. Because professionally, you want to be professional.
Right.
So I think it can be inhibiting at sometimes too to not share certain things, but I try to have a balance. But I definitely feel like it has a great side because you can connect with people, but it does it 100% exposes you. And when you feel like you're in a healed place, and I'm thinking of an example with myself, even something coming up, is that you can kind of gaslight yourself a little bit too. Like you can be like, yeah, things are going great. Like you said, I don't need this. I can't be triggered. Like I'm great. And it's not always like that. And then you can be like, well, I just posted this thing, that,
well, and then feel like a failure inside,
right?
Because
it can be
like
shaming,
right? You can go through the shame and guilt. Like I'm, even with empowerment coaching or life coaching or counseling, it's like we still have experiences in our life. We still have things that happen that we have to work through. Like it doesn't matter who you are. You always have, someone's always going to have something. So just to have that keep the open space that if you are going to put something out there, you can always delete it. That's great. Know that. Like, you don't have to keep it up there.
No, you
It's going
don't.
to cause the turbulence and the anxiety, or like delete it for goodness sakes. But also understanding that in some ways it may make people feel more human. So what's coming up for me right now, and I'm thinking about it, like, I have this company who's amazing audience generator. They do my reels.
Yeah.
And they post reels. So I don't post all of my reels myself. I just have decided for sanity purposes, I outsource that. I don't like managing, my business social media pages all the time. So they will post a reel, and the reel is a very short clip of a conversation. So
it doesn't have all the context.
It doesn't have the context. It doesn't have the back, so so it was really interesting. My first ever TikTok reel was about, I stopped trying to fix my husband.
Yeah.
And blah, 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 blah. And I go like, I realized he just needed to be loved where he is.
You're like,
I mean, it has like 200,000 views or so. Like, it went like a massively viral.
Yeah.
For the first ever reel.
Yeah.
And the feedback was like, I had to stop. It was like, well, why would you just suffer through? And I'm like, no. Like, I felt myself wanting to rebuttal so much.
Yeah.
I'm like, just, don't look at the comments. Just know that there was, and my whole point in the conversation was I had to stop trying to fix and give him advice. Like, his journey was his journey, and he needed to experience things on his own. And it was my,
your journey,
journey too, but like my position in life to just love him where he was and love him through what he was going through, and giving him that space and holding space for him instead of trying to fix him was the point of the conversation. Like, I'm holding space. I'm loving you unconditionally. Because what happens, like, when someone's going through stuff, they're having their ups and downs and all arounds. If we're conditionally loving them and trying to fix them, it makes them feel like they're not lovable. It makes them feel like they're failing at. So that was the context of the conversation.
Yeah.
I felt myself wanting to defend and wanting to, like, no, you're not understanding. That's not what it was. Like,
you felt the judgment.
Yeah, I felt well, I think mine was like, just please listen to the whole podcast so you understand. So my whole thing was like, just listen to the whole thing and you'll understand. But most people don't have the capacity or the time frame to listen to an hour-and-a-half podcast about what I'm talking about. But it was really, the context of overcoming my PTSD patterns. And part of those patterns was being stuck in the, this is happening, so I need to have a solution for it.
Well, and I was just going to say, it probably was not even just, loving him unconditionally, but realizing, where does that come to want to fix, right?
Right. It was my conditioning.
I
was trying to break my patterns and rewire my brain.
Yeah.
Whereas
that
this
was the
little
pivotal
snippet was like, it went crazy.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure some people could relate to that too. They're probably like, I try to fix my husband too.
Well, and there was a lot of people who were like, you women always
are doing that.
God.
Yeah, of course.
Like, hold your brakes. Like, please just listen. Moral of the story, if we all just do our own work and hold ourselves accountable, all will be great. But that was like a really prime example of something that I experienced like that.
Right. Firsthand.
Because it was just, a snippet.
Yeah.
And that's what people, the attention span, I think, that we've created for ourselves by being on social media too is
low.
I mean, I have a problem with that anyway. Not a problem. It's a challenge and always an opportunity for me to observe that I could dive a little deeper and be more attentive and present.
Yeah.
So,
I can agree with that too. I have attention deficit disorder. So I definitely find that I can go through things, pretty quickly online. But my background, I don't come to judgments really quickly.
Right.
Like, I've gone through so much training for that. It's kind of like, I'm like, what's underneath there?
Well, that's me. It's like, the trauma resiliency training comes in and it's like, oh, I want to hear more. Like, tell me more. I want to understand. Like, what?
But I will say, for anybody that asks, because this comes up, and I wonder if it does for you too in the coaching arena, a lot of people are constantly, are you analyzing me? Are you a son? No, I'm not.
No, I'm holding
That's not
space
what
for
I'm
you.
doing
Right.
off the outside
Right.
either. Like,
Right.
you can't do that all the time.
No. Well, A, it's not worth your own
And you
energy.
shouldn't be.
And B,
Yeah.
it's not, when you are in a place of someone is trusting you with their life and their secrets and the things that they probably never even said out loud before. Like, who am I to judge that? So
Right.
I always feel like personally, it's an honor
It
for
is.
someone to share, and, an honor and a privilege for someone to feel like you're a safe enough place where they can, you
Talk
can hold
about
space
it.
for them. And I think I saw something the other day. It was like the difference when I say I'm holding space for you, because I actually say it a lot, it just means like I'm sitting with you in this. Whatever you're feeling, whatever you're going through, I'm not judging it. I'm not, going to hold you accountable. I mean, if you're asking for advice, that's one thing.
Right.
But holding space is very different. I think a really great example of that is like grief. Like when you have a loved one or a dear friend, like I have a dear friend who just lost her mother, and it's like, I'm here for you. Like, I'm holding space for you. If you want to take a walk, if you need to cry, I'm not going to try to fix you. I'm not going to tell you everything's going to be okay, because you want to validate how they're feeling.
Right.
And just be a place that they can let it out, because I know I've needed that, and I don't want advice. I don't want, sometimes it's just like, no, I just need to.
Actually, I'm really glad that you brought that up. And this is totally unrelated to what we were talking about before, like at all. But I feel like this is something that comes up with a lot of my clients in relationship dynamics. And even in my own experience too, I'll say, before I know what I know now. But it's so important, and this comes with boundaries too, like expressing, right now, I don't really need your feedback.
Right.
Because it can be a situation where you have anxiety or depression or any kind of disorder, and you're dealing with whatever's going on that's manifesting because of that. Or what do you call it? Life experience, right?
Yes.
Unprocessed life. Yes. So you're going through those things and you just want somebody to be beside you and present.
Right.
That's so important. It's so important in intimate relationships too.
Yes.
And a lot of times, like you were saying earlier, somebody wants to get in the position of being the problem solver because you love that person. Like, you want to fix the problem. You want to fix the problem. You want to take it away. But there isn't always a simple solution.
Right.
And sometimes they've tried everything. It's like when you tell somebody, this is the perfect example. You have anxiety, stop being anxious. I can't tell you how many times people have expressed some form of that, like to somebody that I work with,
Right.
or why don't you just let it go or move on, get over it.
Right.
And I'm like, I don't think it doesn't mean that they're coming from a bad place, but you can say that's not helpful, right?
Right.
Shut it down, because it's not. And that doesn't mean you have to like cut somebody off or anything, but just being able to express that you need somebody to be there, that's just as valuable. Like, the problem isn't always easy to solve.
No, at all. I mean, and I remember being in those anxious moments, in those anxious states. And it's like, now with the tools that I have, if I'm feeling, because I still, anxiety will arise here and there. And it's like, okay, let me take a minute. What's going on in my life right now that could be stimulating my nervous system?
Right.
Because in the end of things, that's really,
What's
that's
going on?
biologically, I know that that's what's going on.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, well, I've had this going on and this going on, and I've been looking at my phone all day and trying to answer emails in a freaking traffic light, and then I pick my kid up and they're having a hard time, and it's like you start to peel back the layers, and then you're like, wow, no wonder.
I feel this way.
Wonder. So
Yeah.
when we're in those moments or, like a depressive state, and I feel like, I don't know about you, but for me, like the word, and I think I've just became very sensitive to it when I got the PTSD diagnosis, because it was like post-traumatic stress disorder. I'm like, I feel like it's more of a condition that I was in a space
Yeah.
that I was able to unravel, because if I would have identified with the disorder part of it, I would have felt like something was wrong with me. Do you find that in your practice sometimes when people come in and they're like, well, I have this disorder and this disorder, and it's like, well, I think that we've just desensitized kind of what that word is as a culture. And I personally was like, listen, I'm going to figure out how to work through this. Like, I'm going to figure out what this is. And I just, but that's me. That's not as easy for others to be like, oh God, like this sounds really serious, or this is, really disheartening. Someone just told me I have a disorder. You know what I mean? This diagnosis, and like, what am I going to do with it? So I almost feel like as a society, we need to take a more empowering approach to how we even communicate these things.
Yes.
We are totally taking a turn.
I know, we did. We totally went off.
It comes up as you go as a flow.
That's an important thing to talk about, and it comes up in the mental health community a lot. And it does come up with clients too. Because the diagnosis, it's not always permanent.
Right.
I think everybody realistically has anxiety. Like it is a natural human
experience.
Right. And it was developed
to overstimulation.
Well, and it was developed in the human brain, like in prehistoric times, because we would get anxious when a dinosaur was going to eat us, right?
Or fight or flight. We have a whole center of our brain dedicated to this space.
Now, in today's society and our culture, we get anxious about a lot of other things that aren't necessarily life-threatening. And it's kind of unraveling that. So when somebody has an anxiety diagnosis, I'm like, it's not a life sentence, right?
Like we talked about last time.
Yes. But I want to be very cautious and say too, there are certain diagnoses that stay with you, right? Like, but it's interesting because a lot of people talk to me about being neurodivergent, which technically everything, if you get a DSM diagnosis, you are neurodivergent because you're getting a diagnosis, right?
We're all on the spectrum of some sort of level. Like, it's not like some of us are invisible to it.
Yeah. But people will be like, I think I might have this because they saw something on social media or whatever, and they identify with certain criteria. And I'm like, well, you could go to somebody and probably tell them that, right? We as clinicians make our diagnoses off of what our clients are presenting with and telling us in a 1-hour session, maybe, or
you're not even getting the full.
Well, we don't live with them their whole life, right? So,
or even what they might remember. I mean, let's face it. I mean, a lot of my childhood, I don't remember because I think I had
trauma.
Yeah. And, so a lot of things that can contribute to these deep internal feelings and thought patterns, we may not even know what it is to be able to verbalize it.
Right. And I think that takes exploration, right? Which is a lot of what therapy does. I mean, and it's great, but it's an interesting thing that you bring up because a lot of people, and this will get into a whole lengthy conversation, but in the medical and healthcare system that we have now, unfortunately, that a lot of people, need to utilize insurance to get mental health services. It requires diagnosis to get coverage. And I don't really think that we're ready to go down that multiple hour conversation, but it can impact, people's accessibility to services that they need.
Right.
So
or medications that they may need. And honestly, it's a good plug for it. So I'm on the board for an organization. If you are one of these people and you are experiencing difficulty receiving help and assistance.
Yeah.
I'm on the board of this wonderful organization, Resilient Retreat, and we provide free programming for people that have survived trauma, abuse, helping professions, first responders. There's a screening. It's, Tuesday through Friday. They offer retreats and programming to really the basis is to help you, validate your feelings, make you feel seen and heard, and help you have the tools to regulate your nervous system. I feel like it goes above me. I've done the programs. I facilitate the programs. It's just one of the tools that I've had in my own healing toolbox, but it is something that's out there free of charge.
Right.
So just a little plug for that, since it was in the context of conversation. I always, if it fits in, let people know. And we have people in Scotland that do our programs, which is pretty awesome.
Oh, that is really neat.
Yeah, there's virtual and in person, so you don't have to be in Sarasota to do
really
it.
Neat.
And you actually came to the event with us.
I did, and it was lovely, and I think it's a great organization too.
And there's no therapy on site, just that too. Like you can't go and get therapy. It's something that's different.
Right.
Like there's no counseling. There's no, so it's just a different tool that you can have in addition to your other modalities. So but I want to bring it back.
We got away.
We digress, but it's not digression. It's all.
Well, and before you do, I want to say too, just really quickly, that getting a diagnosis isn't a bad thing either.
No,
if you need it, not. Totally not a bad thing. It's important. It provides context for your daily living.
Thank you.
There's just a double side to everything. And I think when we were talking about it before, the reason why I got off on that topic was sometimes when you identify too heavily with like PTSD. There are ways to recover, right?
Yeah, I no longer have PTSD.
You aren't doomed.
Yes.
If you get a diagnosis, it provides you kind of with a roadmap. If you're with the right team or person to help you along that journey.
And a perfect example is I thought I had ADHD and anxiety. Turns out I had PTSD. Totally different, not even just PTSD, complex PTSD.
Yeah.
So, but having that information
is helpful.
Allowed me to A, understand what it was, B, understand where it came from, C, understand what I could do to help unravel it, and then unraveled it. In a year and a half, I got a brain scan and it was very different. So I no longer have it. So that's the whole intention of this podcast.
Oh my gosh. You just brought up such a good point though, too, that you thought you had a different diagnosis, which I'm certain somebody may have told you at some point.
I was given Adderall my entire life because I thought I had ADHD, but I really just had trauma and I couldn't focus.
Point. Yeah, you can get a diagnosis from somebody and they can be totally well-meaning. They might get a snapshot from you, but not have all the information. So it may not be 100% accurate. That's why when I speak with people, and don't think that your clinician is necessarily wrong.
No,
I don't.
It's just
but I think, yes. And that it doesn't have to be a permanent diagnosis either.
Not at all.
Whatever.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
And it's not really, like getting a diabetes, you can see in your blood, it's obvious, it's 100% sure, but it's a really interesting part of, the medical profession.
Yes.
And figuring out, it's investigative kind of what we do,
and
which I love.
My entire life, I've just used myself as a science experiment. Whether it's how I can change the appearance of my body. And now it's gone way more internal of how I can rewire. Neuroplasticity. That's the thing. We're just now tapping in to the power of the brain I mean, brain health, I feel like has not been prioritized. Like, I mean, we're coming about, and it's just beautiful how we have like these brainwave centers, and Dr. Amen clinics is where I got my brain scans, and we're really focusing on the brain health more because we have the ability to rewire, to create new neural pathways, to, completely change our bodies from the inside out. I mean, like you said, there are certain things we cannot. But when it comes to neurologically, it's not just a one and done. Like we thought it was at one point in time. And I think that that's kind of what we're breaking out of.
Well, and this is where the positive impacts of social media can come from because it's become so much more accessible to people that like aren't in the field, who aren't like studying this. Now people can go onto those accounts and learn about it, and they're
listen
like,
to these podcasts.
Yeah,
and be like, oh,
like
cool.
It's very eye-opening.
So, and that's, to get us back on that subject, which is the best
We're
part.
Circling back.
We let it flow. All right. We let it flow. But getting back on that topic of, there's performance healing, but it's really like, and that goes for anything. It's performance, it's almost like getting back to like the why behind it.
Like the why you're sharing?
Yes.
Yes.
Like the why. What is the why? And understanding what your why might be. Like, the intention for sharing the podcast stuff is to make people understand that they're not alone, that they're validated, that they're appreciated, that they're not alone in their journeys, that there are all these different remedies and, biohacking things they can do to take charge of their mental health and physical health. And, and by sharing other things, it's like, so it's really interesting, I think, because, not to get into much of like I mean, the ego can take over, right? So it's like, 100%. Are you doing it from a place of intention and authenticity, or are you doing it from a place where you need to seek external validation and support? And like, where does that come from?
And I think it's probably both.
Most
of the time.
I mean, all of us humans, it's not like the ego's not a terrible thing. We're all having the human experience. However, just important to really just search within and understand the why.
Yeah, it is. And to just know, I mean, yes, you can delete it, but once you put something out there, you are sharing it with people and will receive feedback. And, I think sometimes people, not just with the ego and why you're sharing it, but like sometimes it feels, I think, to people when they tell their story and it seems like it's come to closure, that they feel like they're like, I'm in closure, right? Like I can, if I'm telling all these people, it's almost like I can convince myself to. Like fake it till you make it. Right. So, but then that's when you get kind of stuck in that loop, possibly, of gaslighting yourself because you might not feel great, but you're projecting everything is wonderful. And then it can feel really difficult to ask for the support that you need. But everybody, I mean, to some degree, may share that and may feel less comfortable being super vulnerable online. I mean, I think there is value in keeping certain
Intimacy
things.
And privacy,
Yeah.
I mean, just think of like, a relationship counselor or coach who gets a divorce.
Right.
Which is normal. And,
I was going to say
evolutionary. We grow, we evolve. People are, and I kind of want to talk about that for a minute.
I do
I want to talk about divorce for a second. Like I'm on my second marriage. So was my husband. And, the first time around, it was exactly what we needed in that time period. We have beautiful children from previous marriages we wouldn't have had otherwise. Those people held space for us and supported us and helped us navigate a period of life until it just didn't fit anymore. And then you evolve and change. And again, I feel like we're kind of growing as humans to not judge these situations because it is more predominant these days. And it's not, I feel like there's not so much shame and speculation and stigma around it. But just observing the fact that it's okay to make a life decision and a change for yourself. Like if you're taking I'm going to be real honest. Like if my husband, who I love so much, did not choose to do his own work,
Yeah.
it wouldn't have worked.
Right.
But he
because
chose
you would
to.
have been out of
We would have
alignment.
been out of alignment.
Right.
But there are things that we've both had to, you know,
Work
understand
on.
and sacrifice
Right.
and work on and, you know, really going inward to be like, and visually having like a visual map of what we want together and individually. And I think that's important because we can get into these stagnant life situations, whether it's our career, whether it's our partners, whether it's our friendships, and we can just go with the flow and go through the motions.
Yeah, and accept it.
And then, you know, it's like you're feeling lack, you feel like you need something more, which might be where all that need for validation is coming from. You know, just circle back to that. But just being real with yourself, that it's okay to make life transfer. And we talked about this a little bit last time. Like that's part of what you do is help people transition through life. That's part of what I do. Empowerment coaching. Like I may have someone that comes in for coaching and we have one session and that's enough for them to be like, I get it now. I'm going to take my path this way. I may have someone that talks to me every week or every other week for a year.
Right.
But my whole, I think, philosophy on it is to give you the tools and the feedback and the resources to do whatever fuels your fire and makes you feel good.
I think there's so much I want to respond to with that.
Well, let's do it. We have plenty of time, sister.
With help, I mean, there are great things about long-term counseling, and if it's needed, it's 100% valid to do.
Talk to my life coach every Thursday at 7:30 a.m. for 5 years.
Okay. Okay. And so in those situations, you find value in it. I think that therapy doesn't always have to be for a long time, though, right?
No.
Like, I align with what you said, and that providing people with the tools to be able to independently function in a way that is in alignment for them is what my job is.
Yes.
To support them on that journey.
Right.
And that could mean that somebody's done really quick, or they could go and come back.
Or maybe they just appreciate the safe space. Like that's what I feel like mine's evolved in. Like now I feel like we just catch up on life. We have probably 20-minute calls, not hour calls. And I'm not 911 texting
your
her that I have
these changed.
Yes. Yeah. Our relationship has evolved. And, you know, so it's a little, it's different and that's okay.
Yeah.
And that's just, you know, in finding the right fit for yourself, for someone that's going to support that journey for you too is huge.
Yes, there's a very big balance with that, finding the right fit and finding somebody, honestly, that will challenge you. I'm not going to talk about any of my clients, but that's something that I find very important in the therapeutic relationship, because if somebody is coming to you because something is going on, normally whatever is going on outside is not working for them, right? So sometimes things need to come to light in a way that is well received so that they can see what is going on. You act as a mirror as a therapist. I mean, that's what you are, just like a relationship. So I say relationships are like the greatest classroom. You have a relationship with your coach. You have a relationship with your therapist. You know, you have these relationships. And in those capacities, they're dedicated like specifically to mirroring you, right? Right. Like in your relationship, they might not always be.
Well, different tools. Different tools in the toolbox.
But those can bring things up that are really important too. And I actually think that conflict is a very valuable tool.
Oh, it's so healthy too.
Yes,
and I mean, in the best relationships, you have healthy disagreements. They may not feel healthy in the moment.
Right.
But if you take a step back and you don't play the blame game, it gives you the opportunity to be like, why was I so worked up about that?
Right.
Like I always, you know, I'm like, oh, okay. It seems like, you know, X, Y, and Z happened. Why did I have such an intense response to it?
Well, and here's the big reflection with that too. Curiosity is like the godsend, like absolute can help you so much in those kind of dynamics too.
Absolutely.
Being curious with yourself, being curious with what is going on with the other person and how that manifested. Um, and then I wanted to talk about divorce too, because that I'm also divorced. And I think, in addition to obviously, like I said this in our last podcast together, that when you get married, you're not like, oh, I'm going to be one of the 50%. This is what's going to happen to me. I'm
Is it still
thinking about
50%
that.
now, or is it more?
Yeah, it's just under. It gets higher the more you get married. Did you know that?
No.
Higher divorce rates. Yeah.
Oh.
Which is interesting. But
Yeah.
I was thinking, those experiences are so common.
Yeah.
So common, and not even just that, because I don't want to be like, everyone gets divorced, but
No.
but a lot of people that are going through struggles, even if they don't want to get divorced, can kind of identify with those periods in somebody else's life. They're curious about that experience. They may be dealing with relationship issues, and you can reflect and learn a lot in the aftermath of a divorce. What didn't work in my marriage before? Like, how can I have a healthy partnership this time? Is somebody going to be doing the work with me and be in alignment? All those things you learn from those experiences.
Well, and
I think it gives you some credibility in a way, even though people stereotypically used to be like, well, if you're divorced, you can't give input on a relationship, or you can't. I don't think that is necessarily the case.
No. And I think that you hit the nail on the head earlier when we talked about curiosity. Thinking back, I'm sure there's definitely a million things I could have done differently or had tools and, do I regret it? Absolutely not. I'm with my soul person. Like, there's a soul connection there, and I'm grateful for the way things worked out. However, when we don't, I mean, you can get a divorce, you could go on to a second. Or I think the reason it's higher is because sometimes we leave these situations thinking it's the other person or it just didn't work out. And we choose not to focus on the healing part of it.
On ourselves.
Or we go to like the next shiny thing. And it's like, oh, that's great. Oh my God, it's so great. And I'm like, oh, like 2 years in, it's like, oh, they're totally different. Well, of course they're totally different. Like, life is different. You're not dating anymore.
Yeah.
It should be. And I don't think we give ourselves a space and time. I mean, you have to. I just posted something yesterday about my husband and I's 5-year anniversary.
Yeah.
And we renewed our vows on our 5-year anniversary because we were so different. We were completely different people at 5 years than we were when we got married.
Yeah.
And we're like, we should do this like every 5 years. It would be so much fun. And even when we did then, that was 3 years ago, we were completely different people than we were then, now.
Yes.
And so understanding like the ebbs and flows and, what does my person need? What do I need at this stage? What my level of communication is different. The level of, my quiet time, my individual time. I need way more alone time now than I've ever needed in my life. And I love that he's the same way because he gets it. He respects it. We tag team each other on the weekends and just the dynamics change.
They do.
And not having these, and I think that goes with like understanding, like, we can't set these expectations for what we think are really, and again, social media, like, performance relationships, like not everything is sunshine and roses. Like I put that post, I'm telling you, there's some shit behind all of that. I wasn't doing it to glorify, we have this perfect relationship. The whole intention was we went through so much to get to a place to reconnect and reevaluate and revow and recommit at 5 years.
Yeah.
We had no idea what really that was going to look like.
Right.
I'm just very grateful it's looked like the way it has. And who knows, in 10 years, it's going to be like, whoa, it's very different. So it goes back to like having that curiosity.
Yes.
With all things, not even like diagnosis, but relationships and just life in general.
Right.
Because
Mhm.
it keeps it so much more open. Because I think when we approach something in a curious state, it prevents
Yeah.
us from judging it.
It does.
Because it's like, oh, I wonder what, instead of, oh, they this. I
That's
wonder
100%
instead of
right.
like I know, because you don't know.
No,
Like,
you
you
don't
don't
know.
know.
You don't know. And off of that, too, like if somebody is repeatedly doing something that is hurting or harmful to
Right.
you, like that is a different thing.
Totally different.
But I think you pointed out something really important. Look at I'm using this. I'm like, you pointed out something. I know I'm doing it to all of you.
I love
You
it.
pointed out something really important, like having to work through a lot of stuff to
Yeah.
get to a solid place.
Yes.
A solid place, too, doesn't mean no conflict ever. Like
Nope.
a lot of people that I work with that are younger talk about, we never fought. And I'm like, well, that's interesting because how could you guys have the same thoughts about everything? Like,
You just never talked about it. Were you transparent?
well, yeah, no, exactly. But that becomes like an idealized thing too, right?
Right.
Like conflict's so scary. I
Right.
don't want to have an argument with my partner. Well, conflict doesn't have to be aggressive as hell either.
You can
Like
have
it
a
should not be.
conversation. Yeah.
It shouldn't be.
Yeah. Conflict is,
I have
it
a
could be
different opinion.
conversation.
Yeah. And we can work
Yeah.
through that. We can come to a mutual understanding. It
Mhm.
doesn't mean that somebody's going to agree with you or not. Oh my gosh, this could go to relationships with friends too.
Yeah.
And everybody that you deal with on a day-to-day, we could all use a lot more of that. That's compassion, right? But conflict is not like if you are having no conflict, that almost like is a little like beep to me, a little bit like, what's going on there? Because are you being authentic to yourself?
Are you using your voice?
Right. Yeah.
Like,
or
even in a
sharing your
healthy way.
opinion.
Right. And if you're not, then why?
Yes.
What's the why?
And is that leaving you feeling okay? Like,
Well,
is
and
that
that's the thing.
sustainable?
Like, are you feeling, because I think this, it goes back to what we talked about last time, losing ourself
Mhm.
in relationships or careers or whatever.
Yeah.
And that happens when we let shit slide and we don't speak and it doesn't mean that you have to create turbulence or animosity. It just
No.
means that you're speaking, there might be something that's said in this podcast. I'm like, oh, you know what? I didn't clarify that the way that I wanted to or should have. And I'm going to
Right.
call Lisa and be like, hey, you know what? When you said I don't know, like it's not the best example because I feel like we're always in alignment with this stuff, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's the little things.
Yeah.
It's like, your boss asks you to do something that you really don't have the space and time for, and you do it anyway.
Right.
Instead of saying, hey, I'm overwhelmed and I have a lot going on, because you're afraid they're going to see you as like, she can't handle it.
Right.
That type of situation is what I'm talking about.
Right.
I mean, and it goes for anything, or a relationship where, you don't speak your whole truth to your partner or your child or whatever, or, your parent about something.
Yes.
And you let it slide, and then it happens again.
Yeah.
And you let it slide, and you have it again. And then you get to a point where you're like, wow, this relationship dynamics really changed. And I don't know why.
Yeah.
That's kind of what we're talking about.
Well, and then
here.
they'll be like, I never fought though. Yeah.
Right.
And then
but did
you have to peel
yourself?
through that.
Right.
Right. And show, but.
Well, and I know for myself, like when I've been in situations like that and, various types of relationships, and I don't say what's on my mind. I usually don't say what's on my mind because I've already created a story about what it could have potentially happened, or what, you know what I mean? Like I've already gone there to like, oh, this could work out this way or that way. So I'm just not going to say anything.
Right.
And I know I'm not alone on this, but for me, that was a huge anxiety trigger. I mean,
it does make you anxious because you're withholding
all this shit in my head that had never happened.
Well, and you're withholding, like speaking up and your truth. I can give you a great example of this. not personal, but like something that I use as an example a lot in relationship dynamics. Like you're dating somebody new. We'll call this person Joe. Joe never takes out the garbage. Like it's not a big deal though, really. I'll just take it out for them. Like even though it's not my place. And then that continues. And then 3 years in, I'm like, why doesn't he fucking take out the garbage? Like how did that happen? Exactly. This makes me so upset. And then I tell Joe and Joe's like, you've always done that for 3 years, you know?
Right.
What's your problem? Where'd you?
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, well, you
And
never
I'm like,
said
well,
anything.
I hated
don't know.
it.
Like,
Yeah.
Right. Well, just don't ask me. Like, hey, can we alternate taking out the garbage sometime instead of building resentment?
Right. But sometimes people, in that example too, they'll be like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. But the little things add up.
Oh, yeah.
You don't think they're a big deal, but they compound. And then you have your own things going on. You don't want to be taking out somebody else's garbage, metaphorically or really, right? Like you have to deal with your own shit. That's enough for most people.
Yeah.
And if you have children, then you have to deal with their shit too. So
I love that example because it's the simple things, right?
Yeah,
Like the dishes
up.
in the sink. Like, okay, the dishwasher is empty. Like there's 6 people that live in my home. Like if we all don't do our part to some degree to put things away or take turns taking out the trash or make the bed before we leave. I mean, I could imagine what our house would look like if we just let all the things go and not everyone pitched in. And, you know, I also have like a village of people that I have to have help me because I can't maintain it all myself.
Yeah.
And it's just overwhelming. I mean, think about it. I think about what our teenagers, their life is like. They go to school from 7:30 to 2:30, but then, you know, during certain seasons, they have extracurricular activities until 5:30. And then they're gone on the weekends. And it's like, you know, you want them to have a life and not have to do all the other things. But there's still like comes down to having that accountability and responsibility. But also not being like, oh, well, they never do this or they never do that. It's like,
and I never say anything about it.
And like, hey, you know, can we all, like, I even had a conversation this morning, text the fam jam text. Hey guys, if we're going to take food in our rooms and if we're going to take drinks and smoothies in our rooms, like, can we please just make sure to throw it away?
Take them out. Yeah.
Yeah. And make sure to throw it away. That way it doesn't sit around. That way we don't get ants. That way we don't get roaches. That we don't, you know, it's like if we all do our part. But if we all left everything laying around all the time,
it would be chaos.
It would be chaos. And what does that do? Chaos in your surroundings creates chaos in your mind.
I was going to say it up your nervous system, right?
Yes, it's a nerve. And I think that, you know, I didn't understand that as a teenager. Having a messy room definitely contributes to feeling overstimulated.
It does. And I also think that there's a lot of value in that too, because when anybody doesn't have to do things or doesn't have responsibility, like how, in particular, I'm thinking about children. How does that set them up for like when they're on their own?
Yeah.
You know,
well, it's life skills. It's life skills. So it's healthy for them to understand like how to load a dishwasher, how to wash their clothes, and you know, how to, you know, it creates
independence.
You know, like if we put things away when we're finished with them, then we don't have to do it later and we have free time. You know, so like, and I, you know, I feel like I've done a really great intentional job with that with the little guy. Like if he's, you know, sometimes, especially on weekends, like if we have a few things out and around that he's kind of going back and forth and around too, but really try to like, hey, if we're going to finish playing with kinetic sand, let's put that away and go on to the next. Whether, or, you know, there's going to be kinetic sand everywhere. Love everyone who bought him kinetic sand. I actually love it. It's very sensory. Like my sensory girl gets all into it. But that sets them up for success because not only does it neurologically help them grow these developmental appropriate skills, but when they start driving, they're not going to have stuff all over their car. It's going to be safer and you know, they'll understand how to, and we have one going off to college, like prepare a meal for themselves, you know, so it's those life skills that in today where everything is so convenient, you know, there's glory in doing things for yourself.
There
makes you
is.
feel
Well,
good.
and it fosters a sense of capability, which is really
Right.
important, like,
Yes.
for every
Right. Well, and it makes you,
everybody.
it kind of helps avoid that I feel stuck and frozen in the long run. So if you
Right.
do have clutter in your life, it prevents that like
It's a
freeze
block.
response. It's a block.
Yeah.
Like if you walk into your room one day, and I do this all the time, my closet's a really good example. Like sometimes I won't hang everything back appropriate. Like I have a little
Yeah.
place for everything. But
Mhm.
midweek, if I have like 4 pairs of shoes on the ground and not put away, and
Yeah.
I've done dry cleaning and haven't hung it all up, or you know
Right.
what I mean? It's like I
Yeah.
walk in and I'm like, oh, it feels like a lot right now. And
Yeah.
whatever, take my time, go back. But it's like also creating that space and time, and you just do a little bit
Yeah.
every day. It helps clear your mind, clear your palate. That way things aren't building up. Same as kind of like we
Yes.
were talking about with relationships. That stuff builds up in your nervous system too. And that's
It
what leads to the
does.
anxiety and the overwhelm, is having too much to do all the time.
It does, and feeling it's silenced, right?
Right.
Like if you take on more than you should, somebody else's
We all
responsibilities,
do.
and yeah. Well, and hopefully I think you get to a point, and I think that's the beauty of getting older, right?
Right.
Then you learn, like, I don't have time
Mhm.
to, and I don't want to fix somebody else. That's their own
Right.
journey, right?
Yeah.
Like I have my own things to fix. Yes, I can be curious. I
Mhm.
can be curious and intentional about how I engage with people, but like, and if something's coming up in me, I have to
Right.
address that, right? But that it's not your job to just pile on other people's
No.
shit. And a
No.
lot of people get stuck in
Mhm.
that until they're ready to let go, which is really hard.
Right. And I mean, and this kind of takes us and circles us back
It does.
around to
Closure with the
the
social
closure, to
media.
the social media.
Mhm.
When we're online, we're opening ourselves up to other
Mhm.
people's stuff.
Yeah.
So what are we doing? What are you doing to protect your energy and to protect your mental energy, physical
Yeah.
energy, from taking on too much of what's out there, whether it's the news, whether it's like political things, whether it's, other people's posts and
Mhm.
situations. And, we have to be very careful and cautious not to absorb too much. Like I know, for example, we had a really big week last week. We had a big
Yeah.
birthday party for myself, a lot of energetically big things, as I talk
Yeah.
about a lot in my podcast, because I feel like my life always, it's a trend in my world. I knew that I needed to disconnect on Sunday. I knew I needed to
Yeah.
not be on my phone. I knew I needed to just kind of relax,
Take a
whether like
break.
take a break, chill out, and protect my energy in that way, because otherwise I could continue that realm of getting worked up. My Monday would have looked
Right.
totally different.
Right.
And I always really try to create a chill Monday. I try not to put too much in my
I do
Mondays,
too.
because in life, my weekends are busy, if not busier
Yeah.
than my weekdays a lot of the time. So I know
Mhm.
that mentally I need space and time to just kind of be and get the necessities done on Monday and not take on too many projects, or very rarely will I ever do a podcast on a Monday. I just
Mhm.
really,
Ease in.
yeah.
Ease
And
into the
I know
week.
that's not realistic for everyone. But that's just,
Right.
and if it's not a Monday, it's whatever day, it's whatever time that you can, just to balance it. Even if it's something as simple as having a quiet car on the way to work.
Right.
I mean,
That is
it could be the little things. It
huge.
doesn't mean you have to
Yeah.
clear your calendar and get a massage. It means, it's the little micro healing things. It's
It is.
eating a good breakfast, or maybe skipping coffee if you're waking up feeling a little
Jittery.
anxious, or,
Mhm.
the little things we can do to contribute to that peace throughout our day.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, we covered so much, I feel
I
like. What
know.
else? Like, is there anything else that I feel like we want to circle back on? Because we opened up a lot of
I
doors here.
know. Well, and there was so much I wanted to say to that, but then I was just listening to you, and
Yeah.
I'm like getting in the zone when you're
Mhm.
talking about it, that it makes it hard for me to remember
Mhm.
sometimes what I want to say. I
That's
get
okay.
so in the zone.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember. what I was thinking when you said it makes it hard sometimes when you're on social media and like being cautious about what you're absorbing, I think that's a perfect place where you can express curiosity too. You, no matter who you see on social media, if they have 3 million followers or not, and we kind of made a joke a little bit between us about somebody who's very well known before this. Take everything with a grain of salt, right?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, you need nuance when you are looking at people's posts. And that goes along with not being judgmental, but like if this post doesn't work for you,
that's okay.
Then great. It doesn't work for you. A lot of things online, and they should be to a certain extent, are very generalized because you can't be like explicitly engaging with one person, right? No. So I'm thinking of let them.
Yes.
And I'll say that because there's a lot of jokes about it online and reels and things. And sometimes there needs to be more nuance. And if that works for you, great.
Right.
Like, but if it doesn't, that's fine. You know, like go with that. Let yourself feel. There you go.
Let yourself feel. It's funny. I was talking to a friend at work before I got here, and we were joking. Have you seen those posts where it's like my healed self and my I'm gonna get in your shit person? Like, which one's gonna come out about this? Because we're gonna open it up for a second. Like the let them theory. I understand the premise of it. Like, let them be them. However, don't let them treat you like shit. Don't let, there's a lot of let them stuff out there. So just use discernment.
Yes.
And understand that, you also have a voice too. And you don't need to
let everybody walk all over you.
Yes. That's the one thing about that I'm like,
well, it can get you into trouble.
But I think her intention behind it is just don't absorb other people's stuff.
Right. Like, and people are going to do what they're going to do.
They're going to do. I read the book and the part in the beginning cracked me up, and it was like totally me. It was like when the kids were dressed up for like homecoming or prom or something, and they wanted to go to the taco food truck. And she was like, no. I'm going to book you a fancy, like I would totally be the mom that's like, no, you need like a 5-course dinner. And, just let them go to freaking tacos if they want. So I kind of took the funny parts from it.
Yeah.
But there's a lot. That's just a tiny example. There are a lot of different things out there. Take it all with a grain of salt. Like nothing is an end all be all. I mean, even when it comes to spiritual books, like take it with a grain of salt. We're all so different. We all have such different life experiences and things that we connect with, things that resonate with us. And what resonates with me today probably wasn't what resonated with me 5 years ago or even tomorrow.
Right.
So be open, like curious, stay curious. I feel like curiosity is the theme of this podcast.
Well, and I think discernment too. Yes. And when something like that comes out that's very catchy, like it's a great catchphrase. It's catchy. But it's very simple. Yeah. And when you apply it to real life circumstances, it can get a little bit complicated because sometimes you can't always do that. And there's no shame. Right. I mean, like, I can't just let somebody do that. Or, I mean, you apply it to what you can if it resonates with you. And I think that's the point. Yeah.
Like, I think of myself as a teenager, and then I think of my teenagers. And I'm really glad karma hasn't
You're like, I would not let them if they.
I mean, that's an example. You have this young, vulnerable, experimental age. Yeah. And it's like, well, do we really let them do all the things? Or do we use some discernment and reel it back in and coach and guide and stay curious about what could happen if they took an alternate route?
Yes, exactly.
So that's just like
that's a great example.
Right. And so it's one of those like, I think the intention behind it was. I do. I feel like it needs to come with a caution sign.
Because people will dive right in and be like, this will resolve my problems. And I think that is a really important thing that we're touching on, though, even about sharing things, right? Like, this will solve my problems if people are validating my experience or the way that this went down.
Right. But then what happens when it's not validated? Then where are
Or it's not your experience anymore. And that's
Right.
why we felt like it was really important to talk about that.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it's a rabbit hole now, especially for
And you could
kids
go down a rabbit
and
hole in 30
teens.
seconds on the internet. Like,
Yeah.
if even that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
But there's some funny stuff on there too.
oh my
It's
gosh. And well,
so
that's just it.
enjoyable.
Like, yeah, right.
We're
And it's
sending
like,
each other
oh,
meme
we send each other,
videos.
like,
Yeah.
like I'm that girl that'll get on sometimes and like you know I've had a few minutes.
Yeah, I'm like, here's 8.
But they're hilarious.
They are. They are.
I use discernment. Some people understand some people understand others.
Right.
And it's stuff I'm sending people and we're laughing about and conversating about. It's stuff I normally would not put out there to the masses.
Yeah.
I'm using discernment.
Yeah.
I'm not projecting all of my sense of humor out there because some people may not perceive it. And honestly, my audience on Crystal Clear and my audience on my personal page and my audience on Facebook, very different.
Same.
You know, I use my Facebook. It's more community outreach. It's more public in a different way. My personal Instagram is more like raw Crystal.
Right.
My TikTok is essentially all Crystal Clear podcast stuff and occasionally some other stuff. And my Crystal Clear Instagram is a little bit about
well,
like
bless
some personal
you.
and
I don't even know TikTok.
Again, I had to I outsource. That's
I'm
why
like, I don't know how to do that.
I have teenagers.
Yeah, that's true.
I read their stuff. But anyway, you know, I just think that our message today is stay curious. Don't try to avoid the rabbit holes. Use discernment. And just really protect yourself. When it comes from, and know that can be different. And know that, like, you know, if you do something and you put yourself out there in a certain way, it doesn't mean it's out there to stay. Like, you know, there are people out and resources and, you know, things that will help you work through all of this.
Yeah.
And stay curious about it.
And there's beautiful things that are valuable about building community. I'm sure people.
I mean, we would have never met if we weren't on
Actually, that's 100% right.
Yeah.
I reached out to you and I was like, we have a lot in common.
Right. And here we are.
Yeah.
Like,
I know. That's
for the
so
second
funny.
time in like a month. So, you know, you can really connect in a beautiful way.
You can.
But, you know, stay curious.
Yeah, stay curious.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lisa. It's been a blast. And we had more time today, so it was always fun.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll probably be back. I feel like we should do like a ladies roundtable conversation.
We
It'd be
should.
fun.
That would be fun. That's a good idea.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.